Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And the Star Trek stream is back after 2 weeks off. Yay!
Yay!
And Irate Prostate and I are here right now. Mr. Skeptalk, I'm sure, will be along shortly to discuss the two-parter that ends season 1 and starts season 2 of Enterprise, and it is called Shockwave.
Yeah.
And I have to say, well, before we get into it, let's quickly summarize Shockwave. So Shockwave is basically a two-parter that revolves around, first of all, it starts with the destruction, the accidental quote unquote destruction of an entire colony of an alien race that Enterprise is looking to meet. This then causes Vulcan High Command and Starfleet Command to decide perhaps we should cancel the mission into space itself.
Y'all aren't ready for prime time.
Yeah, you're not. You guys aren't ready for this. And so the rest of the two-parter is basically Archer and the Enterprise crew dealing with the Suliban that we meet before Mr. Silic and all the wonderful people are back. And we are dealing with time travel and espionage and sabotage, and just, it's actually a really good episode. I'm definitely not as big of an Enterprise fan as I am like the other series, but I have to say I really enjoyed this episode.
Skep has joined us, by the way.
Pardon?
Skep Talk.
Skep is here. Hello.
Yeah.
Skep has squirmed into the
Skep has
hangout. Sorry, I was late.
You will
Don't worry.
Swep Talk today, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. I was just summarizing the plot before.
You have the most boring leisurely day that you could possibly have, right?
Yep.
And then right before you go on air, shit happens, and
of course
you got to take care of. So sorry about that.
That's always how it works.
It's like a rule.
I had a Windows update at the bottom of the hour.
Nice to be here with everybody. So we have one giant thumbs up. I generally liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as Blind did, but I generally liked it. I give it like a solid B, maybe even a B plus as a grade. How'd you like it, Irate?
Okay, you know me. I'm into the whole temporal Cold War thing.
Yeah,
it intrigues me. But there's obviously this manipulation of CLAC going on by this mystery person, and you end up finding out who it is eventually. But during the episode, he's never revealed, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. I'm having a different spell, but so y'all, excuse me for a second.
It's all good.
All right. So, but basically, this was one of those time travel episodes that I tend to be hypercritical of anyway, because the temporal paradox doesn't make any sense to me. I have the physicist's view of time. The time is in accountancy to understand how we stack state changes together in terms of dependencies and coincidences and precedents and subsequences. And when I see something like this, to where things are affecting the future and going back in time and so forth, it doesn't that isn't the way physics works. It just isn't the way physics works. So, but in the interest of the art, I hop over that basic objection and I say, we're going to do what we do with Shakespeare and witchcraft. I don't believe in witchcraft either. Okay.
Well, no, what they're doing is they're bending quantum
But I'm going to
physics.
believe in witchcraft for this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. My objections to time travel notwithstanding, just shut up and buy into it, Skip.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And I did. And so I did. I did.
Suspend that disbelief, sir.
Yeah.
And the one of the things that bothers me a little about it is the guy who seems to be manipulating time.
Daniels.
Yes, Daniels is not scary enough. I want him to be more scary.
I don't know. I think he's pretty scary considering how stupid he is.
Well, he's scary. He's scary like a 3-year-old in a crowded auditorium with a revolver. He's scary that way. Yeah, I agree. He's scary that way. But he's not scary in a Darth Vader way, and that's kind of what I want. I want him to be a space opera, figure, and he doesn't match my stereotype.
He's a bit of a fuck up.
He's like father knows best, kind of fumbling. What's this time thingy? June, come help me with this thing. I can't figure out the gosh darn thing.
Right.
You can almost hear Jimmy Stewart playing the part. I just can't figure out how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Darn thing.
Now I'm picturing it too.
It's not a good place to go. So he's too milquetoast vanilla for me. I wanted something. You don't have to do Darth Vader.
Well,
but just some evilness in his eye, or some quirk, or something to telegraph a little bit of evil. But this guy looks like Wally and Beaver's dad.
Yeah.
Well, and he to me doesn't even seem like a dad. He seems like a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's like an 18-year-old mixed up kid.
Yeah, he keeps saying, they told me to bring you here. They said that if I did this, then the timeline would be safe.
Actually, that's a really good point.
He kept saying, like, they said, they did, they...
Exactly. I kept interrupting Irate. What were you going to say? I'm sorry, Irate.
I forgot. Never mind.
Oh, don't get.
I'm having a brain fart day today, man.
Oh, that sucks, dude. I've had those. It's all good.
Yeah, it's like waking up a whole new world.
Cranial flatulence. What a deal.
Old age ain't for pussies.
Yeah. So.
Say something about the episode. We're on the air.
Yeah, I know. It's like I was trying to. So there's a scene when I like Silak. I thought he was really well played.
I do too.
I think he's a great character.
Oh, Celiac.
Yeah, from the beginning, until the end, man. He's always this constant part of it, right? Because they're both being manipulated by these time fuckers. I don't know what the deal is, right? And what I was saying, Skep, is that what they're doing with physics is they're trying to mold or to take quantum physics and kind of twist it and bend it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
With the time stuff, and I feel you on that stuff because I don't think time really exists anyway. I think we're in a constant state of now.
It's an abstract concept, but in terms of like mass exists and energy exists, time does not exist. Right?
Exactly. Bingo.
We just use it as a way to keep things straight.
It's a measurement of
and because we express entropy. It in numbers, we tend to think of it as a something, but it's not a something. It's a nothing.
Right.
I love like and T'Pol really got under my skin in the first few episodes, but I have to say she made me laugh in this episode, and I actually liked what she did with Archer when Archer's sitting in his quarters basically mourning the death of these 3,600 people because this whole episode starts off with Enterprise's shuttle pod supposedly triggering a mass explosion in this planet's atmosphere
that kills 3,600 miners in a colony.
Yeah,
right. It's a miner colony, and the stuff that they mine puts this substance in the air that's easily ignited at real high temperatures.
Yeah.
And
So he's basically like he's basically in his quarters mourning the death of these people, to the point where he's like, why should I why should I challenge Starfleet's decision? Maybe they're right. We're not ready to be here. And T'Pol just comes right out and goes, "Is this a humans' ways of feeling sorry for themselves?"
No. She says it differently. I want to this because the way she says it is so funny. She says, "Is this what humans refer to as feeling sorry for yourself?"
Oh yes, that's exactly how she flipped it.
It's just, I'm with you. It was
great.
Probably one of my favorite lines from both episodes was it just absolutely. I just settled in. Made me want to watch more.
And then when
and I despise Scott, whatever the hell his name is, Spatula.
I liked him.
I see Quantum Leap every time I look at it.
A lot of people do that. I think
I just can't get that out of my brain.
I see, and I didn't watch Quantum Leap, so maybe that's why. I actually like him.
It's a huge plus.
Me too. I wasn't into Quantum Leap either.
Well, I also don't think he's that great an actor. Yeah, I mean he's got about 3 expressions, and he's he overacts any strong emotion. He's not a subtle guy, and with a face like that, he has a face like a hatchet. I mean,
a hatchet face.
Yeah, he's just, oh god, it's just.
He kind of looks like Zachary Quinto to me.
He takes ruggedness to a silly extreme. I mean, it's like a caricature of ruggedness, like a caricature artist, and he's so rugged that it's easy for him to overexpress, and he does that a lot. And he does it in his acting. Anyway, I don't like him as an actor. I like T'Pol. I like the guy who plays Trip. I didn't like him at first, but I like him. Once I got to realize what character he was playing, I liked him a lot better.
And I like Malcolm too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
I didn't like Malcolm at first at all. I was like, wow, what a robot.
Yeah. Well, he ends up being, exactly.
If you watch the episode Shuttle Pod 1, which is episode 15, I think, of season 1, you're going to understand why I start to like Malcolm a little bit. Because the guy who plays him also did a very good job in that episode. And he did a good job in this episode, too. Where he's like, I'm telling you, those plasma ducts were closed. They were like, and he was genuinely like, Malcolm, the character, was genuinely just mortified. Like that was my job. I'm telling you, those were closed. What the fuck happened? How did and the actor who played him was so good at doing that.
Yeah, that guy is a good actor. That's a well acted role. I agree with you.
All right, so what do y'all think about trying to put Hoshi Soto in the sex pod role? Did y'all catch that?
I did.
Oh, the topless thing when she comes out and her shirt came off. I thought that was gratuitous. I thought that was dumb. First of all, her shirt wouldn't come off that way. It would have been all hung up under her arms and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
She would have had to have cooperated with the thing to make her shirt come off.
And this becomes a thing in Enterprise, is that there's this dumb sex thing aspect to it that really, I think, weakens the whole show.
That little scene where she comes falling out of the thing
ceiling.
And goes, "Can you get me a shirt?" It's like, really?
And then later it's T'Pol that's the sex object, because she does like this meditation in this slinky thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, DePaul's uniforms are painted on.
Yeah, well, and she was a former swimsuit model before
Do you know what
got the job.
Do you know what bothered me about Hoshi though?
Caliber.
What?
What bothered me about the whole Hoshi being the sex object thing was that they just wrote a scene where she has to be very strong, overcome a phobia,
right,
and crawl through some very narrow spaces to help, like, free her people or free her crew and help Archer.
Right, and then the next
and then she
scene
falls
is,
out of the ceiling and, can you get me a shirt? Ha ha ha!
Yeah, I have pets.
Fuck you,
Yeah,
stupid.
I totally hear you. I totally hear you. Yeah, that was
because at first I was like, "Go Hoshi," and then she did that. And I'm like, "Oh."
Now, we can laugh at it, but think about a kid watching that and developing heroes and stuff like that, and then seeing that stupidity at the end.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that disappoints a child, and that bothers me. And I was watching Star Trek, the original series, back in the 19th century when it was originally out, and I was in the 7th, 8th grade then.
Right.
That's their kids that age watching this, and they see something like that, and they'll just go, "Oh, okay, so that's my destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thanks. I'm so happy I'm a woman. Yay!"
And then you've got
yay me.
But it's such a disappointment because you've got other other women in the Star Trek series that are like insanely strong. And I don't just mean physically. I mean, like, you've got, I say what you will about Deanna, but when she went loose on that Romulan sub-commander, when she got surgically altered and was on the Romulan ship, and she threatened to put him out the airlock, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Or the scene where you have Lore with Wesley and Crusher's like, she's got her phaser on kill. She's like, I'm gonna kill you. You got my kid. But and then you've got Hoshi.
Every mom on Earth understands that phaser on kill too.
Yep. And Gates McFadden did a good job in that scene. Like, her voice, you take one more step towards my son. Just in that calm, I'm a mom, you take a step towards my kid, and I will
You'll end plasma.
Yeah. And then you get Hoshi.
Yeah.
Can you get me a shirt?
And she even tried to make it strong. I don't want to hear any comments. Just give me a shirt.
Yeah.
But it was like, really?
Yeah.
Did you have to go there? Did you really have to go there? Couldn't you have done something where, it was like, amazing job? I know that was hard, and
it was getting, when she gets to Phlox's quarters. He's like, Hoshi, how are you holding up?
Yeah.
What? It was going so well. Why did they have to write that in?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well, and I think out of all the cast, hers was the most weakly developed and I think written.
I can forgive Phlox's line a lot easier than I can forgive that last thing.
Yeah.
Phlox's line didn't make her feel as weak to me as it made him feel sympathetic.
And that's what I liked. It was, a crewman, supporting each other.
Yes, exactly.
How you
so you weren't being critical of
No,
Phlox.
no, I was.
Okay,
that was great. It was
Yes.
good writing. It was, hey, keep it up, Hoshi. You're doing well. I understand that this is
really hard for you. Right, exactly.
You're doing great, and then that,
and then and God, just the visual would let you down just as much as what you heard. It's just,
and that horrible scream, but I'm falling. Like,
What? Yeah, it was a dumb blonde eek.
yeah,
Eek.
it really was.
Ah. So anyway, all right, we beat that up enough. But anyway,
I have to say though, I know that you're not a big fan of Scott Bakula as an actor, but actually, this episode made me like Archer as a captain.
really,
More
yeah.
than he's still my least favorite captain.
Oh yeah.
Like he's not. I don't think he's ever going to move from that spot.
Distant last place.
But I still like him a bit more than I did in the pilot. Like,
Yeah.
watching him in the pilot and watching him in this two-parter there are two very different Captain Archers. And I like that.
Yeah.
Part of what I don't like about him as a captain has to do with the writing. When he's on the bridge and he's feeling frustrated and people are saying, well, what happened? Well, the logs say that the ducts were closed. Well, check the logs again. Okay, first of all, the captain would never say that on, and I know that I'm going back to U.S. Navy ships, but that's what I have. It is analogous. It's not similar to it. It's that type of command situation, and it's that type of command management. A good commander doesn't say that, doesn't bark that out loud in a tone of frustration. There's no faster way to get your crew to lose confidence in you than to sound frustrated or panicky or angry.
Right. It's supposed to be poker face, pretty much.
Poker face, cool, calm, collected. Exactly. Never let them see you sweat. Exactly. And just say, that's what the logs say. Okay, and you walk over to the person who is in charge of inspecting the log, and you have a quiet conversation with them about procedures for checking the logs and see if there's some insight you can lend to them about that. You never question another officer's judgment in public. You criticize in private, you praise in public. Bakula does the opposite all the time, and it makes me crazy. I just want to say, dude, they should have taught you this when you were an ensign. Okay, you're supposed to learn this coming out of school. That fundamental management of a bridge, and that's the other thing on bridge management. He's terrible about giving commands that make sense. He's basically just barking out things that sound interesting and that it's verisimilitude. It sounds like it ought to be commands, but if you listen carefully, they don't make any sense at all. They're not in order. There's no logic to them. He's dependent upon people basically doing an awful lot of things that he ought to be doing, and he's doing things that other people ought to be doing. He's giving commands that other people ought to be doing automatically. Just because it sounds good to give that command, which that's showbiz, and I can forgive a lot of that. But as somebody who's actually stood bridge watches, who has actually been an OOD and has issued those commands, I don't, my training is just too deep. It just rubs me the wrong way. I'm sorry, I can't get past it.
I think the reason I like him more this episode is because I think I'm a little bit in disagreement about the over-emoting, but maybe it's because I can't see his face. Like when he tells Trip and T'Pol that the mission is over.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're great, like you're not giving up, right? And he's like, no, you're dismissed. You're dismissed. Like,
right.
I think he did a good, like, you could hear, I don't know if it was over emotion in his face, but I liked the little crack he had in his voice. You could tell it had hurt him just as bad, and he
did not reveal it in his face. It was only in his voice, but I heard that too. And I thought that was actually, I kind of begrudgingly said, acting creeps into the Bakula.
Yeah, that was
the Bakula sphere.
And I also really enjoyed the scene when T'Pol. It's the same scene when she asks about feeling sorry for themselves. But she starts to say, you know, like she actually gets him to start looking into this whole thing, this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "This is the first time I think in the history. This is the first time in history that a Vulcan has tried to cheer up a human, right?" And and all she says is, "I'll see you in the morning." Right? It's just, but and I also like the little scenes with Archer and Daniels, because this is what made me think of Daniels more as a kid, was that even though Archer is basically a Neanderthal,
and he totally is.
Yeah, he has no idea what's going on, right? And he still manages to make Daniels look like a moron.
Yes,
right?
He does. Fair point.
And he still manages to, and he has some pretty funny lines.
Well, and Daniels is evolutionarily, I don't know if you noticed this, Skep, but evolutionarily, the front of his frontal lobes, like his forehead,
yes,
had a weird. Did you notice the hairline and then those weird ridges right next to it?
Interesting.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be even more
I noticed the strange
superior.
I noticed the strange hairline.
Yeah, because that's the way I guess he looked in. I guess the 31st.
31st, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're looking through the library. He's like, books with paper.
Yeah,
these aren't supposed to be here.
I love these says books. They're made out of paper. That's the exact line that he used. They're made out of paper. Yes, they're made out of paper.
Very observant, son.
We aren't supposed to have books made of paper anymore. Like
Jesus.
Right. And so the implication is because the what the Suliban did, the Federation never happens, and we end up not going as technologically as far as we should have at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
I love he's like, Archer's looking at this book. He goes, "The Romulan Star Empire." And he's like, "Maybe you shouldn't read that."
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Like, how do you keep that? Like, that's gotta be insane. Like, how do you not, like, because wouldn't it be okay to read one of those books if you're trying to change the timeline anyway? If you have that information,
exactly, yeah.
But it shouldn't matter. If you're trying to change the timeline back, read as much as you want. That's my idea anyway. But I have to say, I really enjoy. Well, I shouldn't say I enjoyed I thought the scene where T'Pol was being interrogated was really, really interesting, because she still managed to have that Vulcan like stoicism and smartassness.
Yes.
Even though she had brain probes, just
was there a description of what the scene was like?
Nope.
Okay. So basically she's in like a reclining type of chair. She's restrained.
It's a torture chair.
The torture chair. And she's got this gigantic hexagonal collar on, or I don't know if it's square or hexagonal, something like that. And it has surgical tubes with clear fluid with bubbles being pumped through it around her. And that's the and as it's pumped through, you can see her face contorting in agony.
Yeah.
So even the torture methods back then were more crude. There were not these clean laser type probes or microwave probes or whatever they have in the.
And I kind of think that's cool. I think
it's very retro.
The fact that even aliens.
Yeah, even the aliens. That's what I'm saying. Their technology was lame. Exactly.
I think that's a really cool thing to do. Yeah.
good thinking on the part of the writers to do it that way. That's what I was trying to call out about that was that kind of a retro look to alien torture technology.
I liked how she kept saying every time the Suliban guy asked her about time travel, the Vulcan science directorate says that time travel is impossible, just over and over again.
Yep. I still don't believe in time travel.
Yeah. And then she's like out of it after her interrogation, and Archer shows up and she's like, "Why are you on the ceiling? Not on a
monitor.
Why are you not on the monitor? You're on the ceiling. There's no such thing as time travel." He's like, "Okay, fine. There's no such thing as time travel, but just listen, okay?"
This is more important than that.
Well, you know, it's interesting when Daniels tells he says, Archer, if you got a communicator, he goes, yeah, and I got some, I can't remember what else.
My scanner.
And I said,
Scanner,
I can make, you know, some kind of communication device. I said, well, you need a DeLorean, you know, is what happened in my head. You know, it's like,
yeah.
And a flux capacitor.
And
Yeah,
there's like
a flux capacitor. Exactly.
I had to giggle when Daniels is telling Archer to pound the copper into 1 millimeter thick strips.
He's got this like 1.5 foot long, you know, copper stirring spoon that's all, you know, what's it called? When copper becomes green, there's a word for that. No, not oxidized, but it's
patina.
No, it's degreasoned or something like that. I can almost think of it. Anyway, it's just a grody looking copper spoon, and the guy says, "Yeah, pound this thing into 1 millimeter thick strips." And you just go, and that is just almost impossible. Even MacGyver could not do that.
And Archer's just like, okay,
yeah, he's like, got it. You know, well, copper is malleable, but not that malleable.
Like there was
1 millimeter thick strips.
Yeah, there's just
not 2 millimeters, 1 millimeter.
There are some things in this episode that just made me giggle. Like, and I think the reason I like watching Enterprise is I like to compare the things like the tech, the laws, the you know, I like to watch these and go, oh, that's why that was put into place.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the Prime Directive happened.
Did you catch that subtle shit that went between the Doctor and T'Pol about diversity?
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too.
Wait a minute, what are you talking about?
When T'Pol went to talk to Phlox about Archer.
Yeah.
And was basically like, you need to keep an eye on him. And he's like, to be Vulcan. You know, like,
right.
And basically saying, you know,
I remember that scene.
What part were you talking about, Irate? The diversity part.
Well, they were just talking about she was having I think she was having a difficulty. I can't completely recall.
Yeah, he did have a line where he talks about diverse.
When he takes the celery off her plate and starts chewing on it.
Yeah.
Right. And she kind of looks at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he was kind of saying, you know, variety's the spice of life, kind of thing. You know, I don't know. That's kind of what I got from it.
I like Phlox. I actually,
you know, instead of this bullshit political kind of definition of diversity, it was one that made sense. You know, it was, yeah.
Because Star Trek, well, Star Trek used to make very good statements about actual, real diversity.
Yes.
And actual real social problems.
Right. Not like now.
No, not like now. And it would have actually been at first when before the when the episode first started and they were talking about the society of the mining, like of the colony they were going to see, I was like, oh, cool. This is going to be like a first contact type episode, and we're going to meet another early alien race. And then big explosions happened. I'm like, oh, well, that's not good.
No, exactly.
That's actually what I said when I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Oh my.
Explosions generally mean bad things.
Yes.
You know, just to pick up on that, from the original series, just to go down this rabbit hole just for a minute. I forget which episode it was, but somebody, I think it was from Earth's Past, came aboard. I want to say it was one of the founding fathers, like Thomas Jefferson or somebody, and it was a time travel type of thing, and came aboard and looks at Uhura and says, "You have a negress aboard,"
Right.
and everybody goes, "Huh?" Like that.
It's Abraham Lincoln.
It was an Abraham Lincoln. Okay.
Yeah.
I remembered it was some historical figure from American history, and she says, it's just a word. It's not a big deal. We've moved past all that. Do you know that was one of the most controversial episodes?
Mhm.
And it was about using that word in that episode at the time, and that was 1968.
Would have been, because
out.
that was a season 1 episode, right? I believe.
I think it was season 1. I'm pretty sure it was season 1. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think it was.
It was it was season 3 because.
Oh, then it would have been.
No,
No. Hold on, you're right.
No. I think it was season 1. I really do.
Yeah,
I really think.
I think you're right. Now that I'm thinking about it,
because they did a lot of whiz bang stuff right out of the gate, and I think that, of course, there's so many episodes. God, it's hard to remember. Anyway, that was we've gone from that. From that very sensible and not deranged treatment of the subject, that very honest and wholesome treatment of the subject, to I've been watching some Netflix lately, and Netflix is almost unwatchable. If you're a white male, just prepare for the fact that every white male is a villain, and huge hulking white males who are SEALs are going to get the shit kicked out of them by 90-pound Japanese, half black girls.
Yeah, it's bad. I won't let Alex pick, like, just go with the remote and pick Netflix shows.
Yeah.
I'm even on the kids thing, I'm like, no, I'm picking them.
Even I fell in love with a series recently, Peaky Blinders. And it's a period piece about early 20th century early 20th century Britain in Birmingham, England. And even there, the villains are all evil white males. If anybody who does anything bad is an evil white males, and the women always save the day. Somehow always save the day. The white males they all have fatal flaws. It's like, even there they couldn't stay away from the diversity button. So it's really disappointing to see all that getting in that, and makes me yearn for the old Star Trek days of sensible, fun TV watching when you didn't know who the villain was going to be a lot of times.
Speaking of old Star Trek,
yeah,
let's compare.
Compare and contrast.
Let's compare and contrast for a moment. Do you think that any of the other captains, when the Suliban ship came out and said, Archer, you will board our ship and we'll let the Enterprise go, and Archer was like, okay.
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Here's the bridge. Here's the ship. All right, I'm off.
Yeah. Paul's in command. See you later.
Do you think that any of the other captains would have done that that easily.
Cisco would have.
Kirk in a heartbeat. Kirk was impulsive that way.
Yeah, Kirk Bakula's kind of modeled more after Kirk than anybody, I think.
Yeah, Kirk would have beamed himself over without being asked.
Yeah.
and would have been causing havoc over there and taken over the ship and brought it in, with the Suliban crew, half of them dead, killed by Kirk, and the rest tied up as prisoners, all by Kirk.
Yeah.
He'd march in triumphant. His cajon is huge.
Maybe Spock would be there too, but
maybe Spock would be there to share a minor part of the glory.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody to help just neck pinch those guys. Some of them, gotta have a few. You gotta have somebody to help you incapacitate.
Yeah, sure, the Vulcan nerve pinch is very handy. By the way, did you? T'Pol did use a Vulcan nerve pinch. It dawned on me that you might not have picked that up because
I've been waiting for them to have her do that. So
there was no auditory cue that had happened. She just reports, the area is secure. It's when they were on the Suliban ship and they were incapacitating the Suliban guards before they got captured.
How brilliant was that faked reactor breach, though?
Yes.
That was awesome. That was a good bit of Trek.
Yep.
Because for a minute, I thought for real that they had, I thought for real, the Enterprise was gonna blow up.
Yeah.
I thought they were I thought the crew was gonna, commit seppuku or something like that.
Well, that's going out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah. Well, from their perspective, Archer's gone, right? So, and they've been captured. So,
it's a good day to die. Die like a warrior.
But
it's a very Klingon solution.
It is a very Klingon solution.
Today is a good day to die.
Oh, there's a Memory Alpha link there. Inside chat.
Yeah, that's for that episode of TOS with Abraham Lincoln in it.
Oh, thank you. Savage Curtain. That's right. The Savage Curtain.
Oh, that TOS episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Abraham Lincoln. It's like they're fighting against these people kind of like as puppets, and they take 3 idols out of people's heads and kind of create them as
the rock people.
Yeah,
the rock people. I remember that.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, see, yeah.
See, it's gonna be like that, see.
So, I love that dolphin. That dolphin makes me laugh.
He's happy.
So I really enjoyed, and the thing that really made me like Archer also was that little dust up he had at the end of the episode with the Suliban guy. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You got to have a captain fight every once in a while.
That's right. Kick that ass.
Even Picard had a couple.
Yep.
And Picard can kick some ass. And you may not think of him as an ass kicker because he's all diplomatic and proper and whatever, but I don't know, Picard's a fighter. And I liked that Archer got to have a little fight scene and that he actually got to win. That was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. And he had a couple of good lines in there too in the fight. And that Suliban guy is basically begging for his instructions, right? I need to know what to do.
Right.
Oh, that was. I like my just desserts. It's
Yeah.
It was well done, I think. It wasn't too over the top, I think, because I think sometimes captain fights can be a little bit over the top.
Yep.
One example is in the Year of Hell, one of my favorite Voyager episodes. I don't like when, because it's a time travel thing, when Janeway crashes Voyager into the Malon time ship and does that stupid Terminator line and goes, "Time's up." It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Janeway, no. But this, the way that they had Archer take down Suliban and that little hearing at the end as well. I liked the hearing where Trip actually yells at Ambassador. Oh, what the fuck's his name? Philok. What the hell's the Vulcan ambassador's name?
Oh, Sucrose.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
it's very similar to the Suliban.
Yeah, hold on. It's like Sarek. It's close to Sarek too.
I think it's buckwheat, isn't it?
Buckwheat. It should be. I hate that guy. The Vulcan ambassador's a bastard.
Yeah, I'm on the page. Let's see. Oh, excuse me.
Like, I really don't like the Vulcan ambassador. I mean, and I hated T'Pol at first, but there have been a couple of episodes that I've watched because I've basically watched all of season 1, so that just in case the 2-parter that we watched had any mention of previous episodes. And there's a couple of episodes where T'Pol has a bit of an arc. So by the time we got to this episode, I was actually kind of she's still definitely not my favorite Vulcan in Trek canon. She's like Archer. She's my least favorite. But I definitely like her better than I did at the start. I think when we talk more about these Enterprise episodes, there's going to be a lot more of, I like this better than I did before, but I still don't love it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's Enterprise is one of those series where I can watch it and go, yeah, that's all right. That's a good story. But I haven't found an episode of Enterprise yet that makes me go, wow.
Right. Well, see, my approach to the thing is that, I go into entertainment. I try to go into any kind of entertainment with an open mind.
Yeah.
And even though I can be critical of something, I can also, still recommend it. It's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm running into that a lot with fucking Netflix.
Yeah, there's less and less that I like now. Like new shows, there are less and less new shows that I would tell somebody, "Oh, you have to watch that."
The best ones are like dubbed foreign, European shit.
Yeah.
At this point,
Buckwheat Soval, that was his name.
Soval. That was his
That's
name.
Right. That's right.
Anybody can be a Klingon.
We're backing with the Dakir. The Dakir.
The Dakir. The politics. I think that's what pisses me off so much about Enterprise and also intrigues me is all the politics.
Especially with the Vulcans, man.
Yeah, it's so different compared to the 24th century Star Trek that we know, and even Kirk's Star Trek, because the Federation was there when Kirk was captain.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Vulcans went to Starfleet and was like, "You have to recall your ships now," Starfleet would be like, no.
No, don't.
No, we really, really don't. But in Archer's time, the Vulcans make a recommendation, and Admiral Forrest is like, okay, I guess it's canceled.
Well, so at the end of First Contact, right after Zephyr Cochrane is broken through the warp barrier, right? The Vulcans come down and they say something to the effect of, we're going to help you through this process.
Yeah.
Right. Because you now have warp speed. You can go to other planets and shit. We're going to help you learn how to do that the right way.
Yeah.
Which is not so much, and they play that out in this series. I think,
and I find that I like.
That's a fascinating aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I like Enterprise for its historical, canonical stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
but then that makes sense. The Vulcans, they've got this nose in the air kind of thing going on with everybody else, and literally, they talk about how humans smell horrible to them.
Yeah. How do you put up with the smell?
Right, exactly. They're just uptight, man.
I like noticing the differences between even humans in Enterprise Trek versus humans in 24th century Trek. Like, the Enterprise has a chef. There's no replicators.
That's right.
Yeah.
Enterprise has a chef.
A chef. You have a cook on a ship.
Yeah, man.
Everybody has, you don't take a sonic shower. You take an actual shower.
Right.
Whereas in the 24th century, it's an option. I feel like having a bath tonight instead of a sonic shower. And you see even the Vulcans are less enlightened in the 22nd century.
It's very subtle, but it's there, isn't it? They're just a little bit less advanced and a little bit cruder.
Condescending.
Yeah.
Yes. And the interesting thing was disliking the smell. Like and dislike is an emotion.
Yeah.
Yep.
I noticed that.
Yeah, that's true.
They have, as a people, have not reached the level of Kolinar.
They're not full Kolinar, bud.
That's right.
Well, and the interesting thing is there's an episode right after Ship in a Bottle, actually. It's called Fusion.
Yeah.
And Enterprise meets a ship of Vulcans that is trying to balance logic and emotion. And we actually see a mind meld for the first time in Enterprise. And it's very interesting because 24th century Vulcans are like, yeah, mind meld. It's, we can do a mind meld and everything's fine. But to Paul's like, we don't do mind melds anymore. We've abandoned those. This is dangerous. You can't, you must always, you have to get rid of your emotion. You have to. And these Vulcans are like, no, it's a balance. And you can see the differences. I was like, okay, these are your step on the road to the 24th century Vulcans that, well, because you'll even hear Tuvok say Vulcans do not Vulcans are not emotionless. They use meditation and logic to control their emotions. And that's what these Vulcans were trying to do. And to Paul, and they were exiled, actually.
Yep.
So this is it's a very cool historical, I think that's why I like Enterprise, honestly, is just for the history of the canon.
Yeah. Well, and I love the way, even the technology, if you look at it, excuse me.
It's all good.
When they did Discovery, all this stuff looks like, it's a flat screen. It looks like iPads and stuff. That kind of technology. But on the NX1 Enterprise, it's all like hard keyboards.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I've heard them. I know. Actually noticed that today when I was watching the episode because I'm like, oh shit, they're typing.
Yeah.
What like because Archer ordered them to do something, and everyone started typing, and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't realize that they're typing on a computer, like quite literally. So that's a really I think honestly, story-wise, Enterprise probably I would say is not on the same level as I'd say like a TNG or DS9, but it's still good.
Right. And you don't have people like Harlan Ellison writing for it either. So
Yeah.
The
writing is not as good.
It's sporadic.
At least that's my feeling so far.
It's like, didn't we talk last time we talked? It was like I had a concept that there was a skeleton, like maybe a 7 episode skeleton that had been sketched out, and then there was a bunch of fillers, maybe 10 episodes. I don't know, because there's an arc that starts with Clang, and ends with part 2 of Shockwave. It's all about the temporal, Cold War.
The temporal Cold War, yeah.
Yeah. And that goes, of course, through the rest of the series, but at least it, takes it from, one spot to another spot. And that's kind of like that, those episodes that deal with it. And maybe even when, they meet the Andorians. I don't know. I noticed that when I read interviews with showrunners, people like that, like Kurt Sutter, the guy that did Sons of Anarchy. He said he had a similar approach, that he would, lay out the main chunk of the story, and have specific episodes going to be dedicated to that, right?
Okay.
And then everything else, they can weave, the subplots and shit in and out. So I'm very interested in the creative process. So it's whenever I get a chance to watch, anybody, Picasso, fucking David Gilmour, or somebody like that. I'll like watching and hearing how they do their thing. It's cool.
David Gilmour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at trying to find the next what our next
I was going to say, what's our next episode?
I think it's
I'm going to have to get running here pretty shortly.
So am I. Pincalo's got to jump back out and do some car work, so I've got to also
jump back into mommyhood.
Yeah.
Okay. The next 2-parter that I found was the end of season 2 going into season 3 with the Xindi.
Okay, so it starts with Expanse.
Hold on, let me verify that. I don't want to talk out of turn now. Here we go. ENT episodes. Please. I hate it when they do this shit.
Yeah, no.
No?
Let's see.
Here we go. Yeah, it's the Expanse, and the Xindi.
The Expanse and the Xindi. Okay. So that's
Expanse and the Xindi.
Yeah, that's season 2, episode 26, and season 3,
episode 1.
So end of 2, beginning of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll bring you closer to Kirk. I mean, to Kirk, to the Trip Tucker. And I like that character because he's Southern, man.
I like that. I can't wait because there's an episode just before that one that I'm definitely watching, and it's the episode where they deal with Borg. I need to watch that one.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered everything here that we're going to. I got to go. Skeps got to go. So
yeah, But this has
I'm,
been
I'm
fun.
I'm just sitting around like just reading shit. Yeah, chilling today.
I hope
Thanks
everyone.
everybody for joining us.
Yes,
it's been a fun stream.
Everybody in the chat.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I do hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Thank you, chat, for coming out.
Don't forget to catch Blind Press tomorrow night.
Yeah, Pink Hollow and I are going to be doing Blind in the Special at 10 p.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget, if you're around tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, come check out Minions of the Zoo.
There you go.
And we'll be back on Monday for a coffee stream as well. And since I had to cancel Thursday's show, the 200th stream is now on Tuesday. I still don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out.
You will.
Absolutely.
So,
and I want to talk to you about that because I've got some ideas.
All right, cool.
All right, we'll talk later though.
For sure. With that, guys, I hope everyone has a great day. And what are you doing tomorrow for creams or ice cream, dude?
Ice cream is Tyro and Kuwait.
Sounds fun.
The moon hopper.
And that's
fun.
What time is that?
It's 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and that's 2 Pacific.
On what channel?
On the Irate Prostate channel.
Link in the description.
Be there or be square.
Everybody go check that out.
Absolutely.
And on that note, y'all have an amazing Saturday, and we'll be back to talk to you guys again soon. Have a great one.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.